can probably make it. We can custom laser cut and engrave on nearly all material. Great for one-of-a-kind gifts, home decor, business and specialty items, or personalized and logo designs created just for you or your company. Allow us to become your go-to gift and specialty project partner. Romika Designs can help make your ideas a reality. We're ready to help you design and create that special gift for any occasion or engrave your personal or business logo on just about any product. View our designs at romikadesigns.com or simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and would be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@romikadesigns.com, or visit us on the web at romikadesigns.com.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Accelerated Graphics and Signs, 101 East Renfro, Sweet C in Burleson, Texas, can handle all of your graphic needs. Need a banner or promotional products for your business? They got you covered. T-shirts and caps for your group. All you need to figure out is if you want them screen printed or embroidered. How about some slick graphics on that hot ride to make you stand out from the crowd? Accelerated Graphics and Signs can handle anything you throw at them. Located at 101 East Renfro Street, Sweet C in Burleson, Texas, go in and see them. Call them at 817-991-0523 or reach them on the web at www.acceleratedgraphics.net. They are loud and proud and want to serve you. Accelerated Graphics.
Out of dead carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they've got you covered.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Well, look at there. Can you hear me, Dana?
I can hear you.
Everybody, hello. Happy Friday. We're heading into Memorial Day weekend. This
Happy
is cool.
Friday.
Welcome to the Jobfather, Jobseeker Network Radio all over the United States, guys. We are streaming radio. We're live podcast. Of course, you can see us. We're podcast mainly on YouTube, but we're also live on LinkedIn. We're live on Twitter, and we're live on Facebook. So I see a number of people with us. Mez is with us. Hey, Meg Rose.
Hey, Mez.
She is our hype lady. Christina Matthews is with us from Houston. Awesome. Coy Studer. Hey, buddy. I see you. Coy says, I used to live in Houston, love the restaurant scene. Now, man, I'm trying to tell you, I'm actually a little sad because I'm supposed to be going to Houston this weekend, and I'm not going to be able to do that.
Aw,
So,
bummer.
yeah. And you know what, guys? Thank you to Joco Community Radio for sponsoring us and having us here. Tiffany Carlin Hurd is absolutely an angel. There's Marcel Tennyson. He's with us. Hey, Marcel, what is up? I'm sorry about the Mavericks last night, man. We were yelling. I guess we didn't yell loud enough. And guys, I love this show because here's what we do here. We talk about our focus today is going to be HR. We've got two wonderful HR leaders with us today. We've got Melissa Ferrer-Smith, who I've been friends with forever. And it seems like forever, huh? And then, you know what? We've got Larry Sherrell with us, who's going to be our job seeker today, our Jobseeker Spotlight. So I think Melissa is trying to join us. I don't see her yet. So Dana, you know what? While we're waiting on Melissa, would you do our little public service announcement that we like to let folks know about, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. Well, we are excited to be on Joco Community Radio, the voice of Johnson County. We are excited to be here. We are grateful for Tiffany. Joco Community Radio is live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network. Now, to listen or watch, simply go to tuneinjoco.com to choose where and how. Very easy. The Joco Community Radio app is now available for free, both on Android and iOS devices. Simply just go in and search your store. Check out our lineup and more on jococommunityradio.com. Now, this episode and more is brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Now, don't forget to reach out to your Texas sales rep, Miss Nona Reed, at 844-TEX-HAIL or 844-839-4245. Thank you, Joco Community Radio, for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Every week we are here, guys, at the same time. Same bat time, same bat channel, 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, CST. Oh, I'm getting close. You know what? There's Melissa.
Yay!
Yay!
I was like, oh my goodness, I was shaded over there in the left.
There is Missy. See, I've known her a long time. I can call her Missy. Her name's Melissa Ferrer-Smith, guys. She is, if you're talking about a subject matter expert, when it comes to HR, holy smoke. You've got the lady right there. And there she is. And you know what? I met Missy probably, it was in our HR group. Oh, it might have been even 10, might even been 12 years ago.
I think it was more like
Fiorella was a little bitty girl.
13 years ago. Yes, that long. Oh my goodness. Time flies.
So we are family, guys. We have 6 Melissas that are all in HR, and we're like a family. And you know, Melissa Ferrer-Smith, who you see right there, her daughter's name is Fiorella. Isn't that pretty? And you guys ought to see my niece. And you know, I am Missy. I'm tickled pink to have you on the show today, and especially for you to meet Larry, since he is looking for jobs in the CHRO space as well. And as a matter of fact, you guys might want to hire Melissa. You never know. So let's kick this off. Melissa, let's talk about the HR world. You know, what is a CHRO? We know it stands for Chief Human Resource Officer. So tell us a little bit about what your experience in that position has been.
Wow, it's, you know, you wear so many hats, but really the focus of the role, and organizations are going through a lot these past 2 years in current times, but the focus of the people leader role is firsthand to understand the purpose of the business, products, services, so that that leader can go back and convey the value, convey that purpose back to the broader audience of employees. So that entails in communicating back to the employee is how do you convey back the purpose of the business in critical core roles? How do you convey it back to employees to understand it in processes and procedures? How do you convey it back in the regular communication that the employee leader should have? How do you convey it back in how do you reward in the total rewards package to the employee? So it's constantly refreshing and constantly communicating back to the business so that employees can feel connected, valued, relevant, understand what's the business journey.
That is a good smattering of what it is. Now, do all of the HR roles, I know you have people underneath you, but do all of the HR roles report to you? Do they end up on your desk?
Yes, they do. Typically they do. So you have field operation, right? You may have an HR leader, which is the corporate office that oversees more the generalists. You have talent acquisition, learning and development. You have benefits, you have payroll. You have someone who helps you coordinate all of the priorities of HR in alignment to the business. So it is, every piece of the HR pillar is very important.
Very much so. Boy, that's the truth. You know, Melissa, Pete Hernandez is with us right now, and he says, "Hey, Melissa."
Hey. And that, Foster, that is just the internal pool of keeping the business running. That doesn't entail all the vendors that you partner with in having proactive relationship with external stakeholders. You have your vendors that may support you in talent acquisition or in the learning development space, in the total reward space, in the HRIS. So, making sure that all of those systems are being maximized in the business and utilized so that really we can extract that data and see how are we performing over periods of time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know what, Melissa, there are a number of roles in HR that some roles don't exist in some of the smaller companies, and the big companies that you and I have worked for have all of these different roles. Would you give us a kind of like a smattering, I can't think of a better word, of those roles that we run into that end up are underneath your umbrella?
Yes, I think a lot of times in smaller businesses, the people leader, the chief people officer, that VP role in a smaller organization will probably carry out a lot of the compensation and sometimes a lot of the talent acquisition piece, right? So you have I can't even say a dual role. You have a role that you wear many hats, where I find that sometimes smaller organizations may have an external vendor who helps them out with payroll, right, and paying the employee. But for the most part, sometimes I've been in roles where we've had learning and development in-house, and through the HR leader and through task force, we've developed certain learnings within the business to then roll out and be more relevant, getting those ideas from the business. So the HR role can be very robust based on the size of the organization. And just to echo, it could entail a talent acquisition piece and the compensation piece.
Right.
Which are key.
Dana and I are recruiters. Well, Dana's a lot better recruiter than I am. She's still got a job. No, I've got a job. So, Melissa, in your past experiences in probably not all of your companies, did recruitment and talent acquisition roll under your umbrella?
Yes. Well, yes, absolutely. For the most part, I have to say my roles have been with larger organizations, but there have been even, I could say, with DFW International Airport, a smaller structure, smaller organization, they still had the infrastructure to have and understand the importance of having the pillar of HR compensation, payroll, just because in reality, when you realize nowadays in focusing on strategy and focusing with the senior leadership team and influencing those leaders understanding the business, it's very hard for you to play out all these roles and be effective even in a small size organization, right? There's things that are evolving, as you well know, Dana, in the talent acquisition space that you can't absolutely be the expert of that.
It's true.
Right? True. And the same is with compensation and all of those roles that are key right now as we're pivoting out of the pandemic and we're talking about retention. It has changed talent acquisition and how you hire, how you engage, how you source, how do you speak to the employee. So that whole research in itself and how you deliver can take up your whole day, not let alone the time that you need to dedicate with the leadership and understand how their business is evolving and how do we communicate that back to the business.
Absolutely. And there's been a lot of changes in the last 15 months to 2 years in the market and what that means for job seekers, what that means for those of us in HR and talent acquisition on the side, the other side of the table. Mm-hmm. And Christina Matthews just made a comment. She's like, I prefer to be recruited by my company of interest versus an outside source. And that's a very good point, because if you're recruited directly by the organization, there's a stronger probability that they're not going to have to pay a fee to hire you. And so that could, be a big pro on your behalf. Yeah. To keep in mind is a lot of organizations, even especially large ones, don't always have their own organic internal team. Right. And they use what we call a RPO, right? Recruitment placement outsourcing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And some organizations don't have internal recruiters and they use maybe an agency model.
And I'm a big proponent of that, Dana. In my last role, I did use an RPO.
You did.
I did. And I'm very much big in favor to giving the experts the role that they do well. Yeah. And also putting in place, that to me is classic of putting in a strategy that helps your business with an RPO. It can help your business where it is today lean, but you can further grow when your business expands to even have them take over the entire recruiting function. So it's just really working smart.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is.
Melissa, we have, hi, Rachel Mangus. I just talked with Rachel Mangus out in Florida, and I just wanted to say, hey, Rachel. Rachel is a total rewards expert. So, Melissa, would you explain to us what that means? You see people that are VPs of total rewards and and manager of total rewards and all that. What in the world are they talking about? Total rewards. What's all that?
Yes. So total rewards, of course, encompasses compensation, encompasses benefits. It encompasses, if you could say, really the indirect and direct compensation benefits. We think of probably healthcare, dental, yes. But nowadays benefits expand so much beyond that, wellness for the employees. So yes, I'll let you expand on that, but there's so much that falls under that to the evolution to what our employees need today.
Yes, absolutely.
There are on the search for you guys. I want to give a shameless plug for our personal job posting site for the network. Search SEARCH, the number 4, the letter U, INC, is a good place for you guys to find network jobs. Now, what is Foster talking about, these network jobs? Yeah. Well, guys, to my knowledge, because we are a network of the network across the United States that helps job seekers find these things. Melissa has been a part of our network for a long time. I told you guys I met her at our HR breakout group. And so, oh my God, I met you. I met Melissa Goebel. I met Melissa Fertitta's out in Florida. And Melissa, if you're listening, hi, Melissa. I told you guys we have a big bucket full of Melissas that are in HR. But it's really been fun. And Rachel Mangus is, guys, look her up on LinkedIn, all you companies. RachelMangus is a benefits specialist. And I talked to her. We were just talking about the total rewards thing. So I wanted Melissa, and Larry might want to throw in some ideas. He might have had some total rewards people underneath him in his jobs in the past too. So Larry, just jump in there as you see fit. You are in this world that me and Melissa and Dana are in, and all of our other Melissas. We might have about 4 or 5 other Melissas listening to us right now. So hi, all you Melissas. So Melissa, one thing in HR, and Dana and I talk about this all the time. One thing in HR that we run across a lot is a lot of times companies don't utilize us to the fullest extent of the power that we bring to a corporation, because a lot of times we're viewed as kind of like the police, you know.
Yes.
And we want a seat at the table. And a lot of you CHRO types like you and Larry say, hey, we want a seat at the table. So are you finding in your past, have you had that seat at the table? How do companies overall view CHRO role? Because you're going to be the one that talks to the board. You're going to be the one that talks to the C-level folks and say, look, this is what's going on. And I want to say that the HR departments that I have been a part of, guys, and I have been a director of HR before, believe it or not, even being a talent acquisition person. Guys, we are on the team. We're not here to try to stop everything from going on. We're not the enemy. We're part of the solution. What do you think about that, Melissa? What's been your experiences with that?
So first of all, to your point, you know, that former HR role back in the day of personnel, and you know, we were the police and you couldn't do that. And a lot of the approach was that, well, it's not written in our handbook, or that's not how we do it. I think firsthand, the role has evolved to be that strategic business partner, right? So going in and listening into the business, understanding the needs. It's no longer of you can't do this. It's more about how do we do this and what's the purpose? Why are we doing? What is the expected outcome? I would say, back to your point in having a seat at the table, I believe prior to the pandemic, there was probably a portion, you know, of organizations that, you know, really believed and supported HR, and probably a very fair amount that still were kind of giving priority just to the business, right? Maybe HR was a second thought. I think now, post the pandemic, the approach is different. So I believe definitely that businesses do respect very much HR, realize the importance of it more so. They are at the table. They are, their strategy, their advice is heard of how do we speak to the employee? How do we reward them? How do we communicate back? I mean, you just think of this evolution of the pandemic and that regular cadence of having to communicate to the employee in so many facets of the vaccine, what you do and you don't do. So there is respect for the HR role today, I believe. I think where our role still has to muscle through and push is on the strategy piece, right? You're going to have competing strategies out there. You have business development, you have finance, you have risk management. So there's a lot of competing priorities, but the overarching, I say, coming from the airline world, if you don't have a pilot, right, the plane is not taking off the ground. So going back to that point, if you don't have employees, you're not valuing your employees, we're not conveying and having that regular cadence to communicate back to the employees, you have disengaged employees, you have absenteeism, you have, service failures, and you don't have employees to deliver your service. So I think the challenge today is to continue to orchestrate your people strategy in a way that you're speaking about the business, but you're also elevating the importance of the people and the output that those people have to increase business profits, right?
Yeah.
Is what I would highlight.
Yeah. Melissa, you mentioned it earlier that you worked at DFW Airport. And when I first met you, I think you had been in the cruise industry. I think you also spent a time at a company called Cinemark. I don't think anybody's ever heard of Cinemark. And I like the diversity of Melissa's background. I'm pleased that you allow me to be part of your family and kind of go along with you in your career. Now, this last corporation that you were engaged in was a French company, was it not?
It was fantastic company, RATP Dev transit company. Really their business is offering service and a little bit reliant. The client audience is city offices, right? So when a city opens up their contract for transportation, in goes several transit companies. And so did we to bid for that service. That doesn't mean you're awarded, but you put your best foot forward, your proposal, the scope of the services, the people who are going to execute in that contract for that particular city. And then you wait a little bit for who wins the bid, right? And so that's how, and typically those contracts could run anywhere from 3 to 5 years. There are clauses in the contract for renewal. And so there's different types of terms in the contract that would allow to extend that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Melissa, I'm thinking of another. Pete Hernandez said a very good thing. It kind of relates to our previous conversation before I ask you about your background. Pete said historically HR has been seen as an expense or a nonprofit area, and that is changing now. Do you agree with that? Because COVID has changed a whole lot. I feel like I would live on a different planet.
Yes, it was, and I believe in some instances it is an expense, right? That's never going to go away. It's how you convey that expense is valuable and needed for the business, in how service is delivered and how repeat business comes back, and how that generates revenue, right? So it is indeed an expense. I think the challenge we're facing today when we talk about expense is how do we hire right? And Dana probably could expand on this. How do we hire right so that employee stays with us at least, 24, 30 months, right?
Yeah.
And doesn't transition to somewhat not create a disruption to the business, to the customer, to the internal leaders, where you're developing and training someone, you're partnering them with the business, and whatever 8, 10, 12 months down the line, that employee is leaving, that creates a disruption for everyone.
Yeah.
I think that's the challenge. That's where, if I were to give advice today, where organizations to really focus their time and pour it in, is making sure that whoever is doing their hiring, whether it be through your permanent recruiter in-house or externally, that whoever you are selecting to do that you have an outline of what are your values, how does that align to the people strategy and the business strategy of the culture, how you want employees to be hired, what are important values for the business, so when those recruiters are going out and sourcing, they could really advocate and speak to what is the environment in X company, and make a little bit of that promise, so that those values, being able to paint a realistic picture of what those roles are and what does it mean working in that organization. Right? Employees nowadays, it used to be where people did their research and more senior managers, directors, senior leaders were very well versed in who they worked with. Well, that's from the past. Now every single employee at every level is studying the company that they work for. They're looking at that branding, they're looking at what's being said on Glassdoor, they're researching on Indeed, they're looking on, ZipRecruiter, they're looking at all these different platforms tailored to those roles, as to what it is like to work with X organization. So this,
Melissa, in a couple of seconds, probably about 10 seconds, we're going to hear music. So you keep going. We're going to go to commercial when you hear that. Well, Foster's talking and I'm hearing music.
I'm hearing the music.
It's time to go to commercial. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. Melissa, don't go anywhere if you can stay with us. And we'll talk about Larry.
Book, because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson, Cleburne, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family-owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Joco Community Radio. Listen live at tunein.com.
Well, guess who is back? It is the Jobfather on Joco Community Radio. And guys, we want to thank Larry. We want to thank Melissa for being with us today. So we're going to continue on into the second part of the show. And it is called the Jobseeker Spotlight, where Larry is a job seeker, and we're going to talk to Larry about what he does. He and Melissa do a lot of the same thing. They have that same title. But I made a mistake, you guys. The number one thing that we do before we start this show is say a prayer.
That's
and
right.
Dana, if you would mind, I know you talk to God all the time. So if you would cover our whole show before we start with Larry. Cover our whole show with a prayer, if you don't mind. Will
do. Everybody bow your heads. Father God, we just thank you for this opportunity to spend time together, Lord, and to support the job seeker community. Lord God, I pray you would open up the right doors, protect your children, lead, guide, and direct us, and just guide our conversation the second half of this show. Thank you for both individuals that are visiting, Larry and Melissa. And we just thank you for all that you do for us. In your name we pray, Jesus. Amen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amen. And Maz, I thank you for that. Maz shook my bucket and said, Foster, You know
Good job,
what we forgot?
Maz. Good job,
Yeah,
Maz.
you go, Maz.
You
Maz.
go, girl.
That's
Foster,
right.
I just wanted to mention one item before we move over to Larry. Just one tidbit is another piece that really spills into the HR role, the HR people leader role, is the corporate communications. So that's very, very critical.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times when you have a smaller organization, you're in charge of that. And think about of how your business looks out there on social media. So the HR leader role also takes on a lot of the employer branding and what is that regular cadence of communication. And then my last point I wanted to highlight, CHROs and being successful moving into the future, I see as very critical 3 points that they should be mindful is one, the data analytics, right? That there is some shape or form of looking at that data analytics, whatever that is representative in your business with the platforms you have, or even creating in-house surveys. Number two is that pretty much collaborative conversation that you regularly have, HR with the business, establishing trust, right? And three is that intentional communication stream that you have with your leaders and with the employees. And what's that regular forum? If it's a town hall meeting, if it's a regular communication every 2 weeks, a news wire, all of those pieces, analytics, collaboration through certain meetings, establishing trust, knowing about the business proactively, and then that regular communication stream that will bring the HR leader proactively what is going on in the business and how to manage and how to put some things into play in people's strategy and refreshing it year after year.
Larry, are you resonating with this kind of stuff?
Oh, she is so spot on.
Yeah.
She is right in the center of the bullseye.
Guys, I want to introduce you to Larry Sherrell. And Larry is a CHRO himself, and he is companies. Let me tell you something. I am building what's my word, Dana?
Relationship.
I figured everybody probably be chatting and putting it in the chat. That word relationship is my number one thing. And so with you guys in your position, you and Melissa, there are a number of relationships that you guys build. And Larry, tell us a little bit about you and what looks good for you, what directions you're going in for your next role.
All right. Thank you very much, Foster. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. Melissa, very good comments. I agree with all three of your top priorities. That's so important in today's organization. So anyway, I'm going to answer 5 questions I think that you would want to know about me. So number 1 is, who are you? Number 2 is, what have you done for the companies that you've worked for? Number 3, how'd you do it? Number 4, what are you looking for? And number 5, what can you do for another company? In case there are
you got a lot of stuff to answer there. You did it
What's
to
that?
yourself. Come on now.
Okay, I can identify with relationship, that's for sure. You'll hear that a little bit later.
Yeah.
So who are you? I'm a vice president of human resources. So my experience has been in 5 companies. It's been in 5 industries. It's been in 4 cities: Dallas, Houston, Chicago, and Detroit.
Detroit.
It's been broad and deep. It's been in large companies like General Motors, Abbott Laboratories, and Texas Instruments.
Yeah.
But it's also been in mid-sized and small companies like Gibson Energy, which is a Canadian-based midstream oil and gas company.
Yeah, I wanted you to tell us about that. Yeah. I'm not familiar with Gibson.
And it's also in Calgary. So I spent many a winter in Calgary, Canada.
Woo! Cold.
Pretty cold up there. And also Lexipol, which is a software company in Frisco. It's also been in very high growth companies. And it's been in companies going through a significant amount of change.
Yeah.
So it's also been in new organizations. I've tended to work in new organizations like greenfield sites, or it's been in an existing organization where the new executive leadership has come in and they want to move the organization in a new direction. So my role has been to build HR and help the leadership team with significant growth and change, because the goal has always been to accelerate revenue and profitability.
Mm-hmm.
I've supported many top executives. The titles have been VP, SVP, EVP, president and CEO. So here's some of the comments that those executives have made about me. So I just jotted some of these down from performance reviews. Larry, number
that'd
one,
be interesting.
knows how to frame what needs to be done. He's good at working with the executive leadership team. He knows how to ask the right people the right questions. He's connected at the employee level and trusted at the top. He's good at the big picture and the tactical, and the big picture is harder.
Yeah.
He has good organizational development skills. He has very strong consulting skills.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to change, improve, and transform an organization. He's passionate on the development side, and he's a good fit for a company with risk, growth, and fun.
Dana, that relationship side, I'm hearing when he was talking about development there, I'm hearing relationship all over the place. Yeah. Dana, have you hired, in your experience, have you hired a CHRO level before for that particular position?
I have not hired a CHRO before. For the longest time, Karis didn't have that role. The highest we went was VP or Senior Vice President HR. So I have not. But I've hired from, the majority of roles within HR. And I'm very familiar with the role and what it entails, especially just being in corporate America and being in HR and talent acquisition for 20-something years. You see all the different facets of HR and how they all work together to align an organization. I mean, it's so critical. Yeah, I
have. I've hired a number of them, of you guys, Larry. And I'm sorry I cut you off. You keep right on going. We have people are really enjoying the fact that you are so organized in what you're doing. I love it.
I know. I love it. It's awesome.
I know.
It makes sense. It's to the point. It's outlined. It's like a good sermon. It's got its bullet points.
Yes. Well, a lot of that comes from what Melissa was talking about. I was in charge of communications at my last company. I did it from start to finish. The CEO didn't want to have anything to do with it. I had to organize it. I had to lead it. I had to make sure it worked. And so when you get put under the fire like that every 3 months, you learn a lot really fast, very fast.
Hey, Larry, Larry, in our big South Lake Focus Group family, have you met Laurie Tortorello yet?
No, I have not.
She and David Magana are both in job search right now, and they are both leaders. They're both VP level communications, corporate communications folks. And when you mentioned that, I immediately, and Laurie is pretty active with us. In fact, she's probably listening to us right now. Hey, Laurie. And I, as the job father, I need to do my job and make sure that you meet Laurie Tortorello and David Magana. David, you might recognize Melissa because David was at the airport for a while.
I know David very well. We work closely together. Yes, he's a great guy.
So you go right ahead, Larry. I'm just talking, man. You go out.
All right.
Shut up,
I'll look forward to meeting both of them. So I was fortunate when I worked at Texas Instruments because the communications director for the company took me under her wing and taught me how to do corporate employee communications. And I really needed that skill when I got to my last company because the CEO just didn't want to deal with it. He was happy to pretty much let me run the ELT because he wanted to focus on strategy, which was convenient because he had an IQ of about 200. So, but the next question is, what have you done for the companies you've worked for? So I've made a very strong impact on the companies that I've worked at. So here's 5 examples. The top one is at the last company. I had a talent acquisition initiative. We had to bring in quite a few people at the senior level. The most significant was the chief revenue officer. That's pretty much a sales and marketing top executive. But in that industry, which is software, you typically hear that title, which is unusual. But he got promoted to CEO 3 years later. And the CEO then, of course, this was in the succession plan to replace him because he was past retirement age and we needed to do it. But the very best candidate, he didn't want to bring that in. I think he got a little nervous that the guy was so strong that he might have to leave before he wanted to. But I convinced him to make an offer to the guy. The guy turned out to be absolutely perfect for chief revenue officer. He's still the CEO today.
Wow.
Number 2, a totally unrelated area. I had to jump into a dispute up in Eastern Ohio between Gibson Energy and the Teamsters. And I was the one that had to negotiate a settlement to the dispute.
Oh, wow.
So that was interesting. At Texas Instruments, I had two very large organizational change initiatives. One was on speed, one was on innovation. And they occurred because one of our Asian customers told us in a town hall meeting with 550 employees, you guys are as slow as a glacier and you're not innovative enough.
Whoa, okay
then. I like that.
Pretty much put a damper on the audience in the auditorium. He said it in Japanese. The translator gave us what the translation was. So anyway, the EVP said, Larry, go lead a major, we're going to turn this around and I want you to drive it because you like change and you're good at it. So that went on for a couple of years, and I worked very closely with the leadership team and sort of the influential technology leaders in the organization. It drove the change in the culture. We went from technology centric to customer centric. How did we know that? Because our customers started telling us, wow, you guys are changing and you're actually teaching the engineers how to think beyond, technology being the primary consideration, and you're actually considering us as customers. And that sounds easy for many employees, but for a lot of really smart engineers, that's not an easy concept for them to
I would imagine
hold up and change their behavior. But it was very successful.
Changing behavior. I like that.
Changing behavior.
That sounds like that's time intensive.
Oh, it's very time intensive. And with engineers, it's especially challenging. I had some consultants that wouldn't even work with our engineers because they said, I'll work with any type of employee.
I've been in that situation. Yep.
Not engineers. But I loved working with engineers. So in a different area, I created a technical marketing management development program in the Houston site because we had hundreds and hundreds of engineers, but we had all these $15 to $20 million product development teams, and we wanted to staff them with the high potential engineers. So I took the high potential engineers, created a program in 90 days, and then I had to fill the position. So I took 10 of the best engineers that we had. They're all high potential, super smart young people, and put them in those roles. And then I went out to college grads and grabbed 5 of those and went to some MBA career fairs.
Wow.
So it was a very successful program. It's still there today, I believe, at Texas Instruments. And lastly, I conducted employee engagement surveys. I've done probably 8 of those in my career. One of the earliest ones was back in 2011. And so we had to take the organization, determine a baseline for where we're at. We determined the top 3 areas for improvement. I worked very closely with the top leadership team. I helped them to create the action plans, and then we closed the gaps. And then the following year, we did a follow-up survey, and the results went up from 71% to 83%.
Ooh.
And it made a huge difference. So those are the 5 examples of things I've done. Again, to demonstrate breadth and depth. Third question is, how did you do it, Larry? The how part is the strengths. It comes from the strengths finder. So some of these strengths you've probably heard of. Achiever was my top one. It's for people that work hard and possess a great deal of stamina. No surprise. The second one was maximizer. That's for people that focus on strengths as a way to stimulate personal and group excellence. So I've led many, many teams. I've had HR teams. I've had design teams. I've had all sorts of teams, anywhere from 5 to 25 people probably. And if you have that style, it really does get better output than someone who doesn't have that strength. I've got 2 in the relationship building category.
I like it,
Foster. I knew you'd relate to this. The top one is relator. No surprise.
That's one of mine.
I bet it is. Yeah, you enjoy a close relationship with others. And I mean, I've used that very extensively over the years. And number 2 is one you probably, or you may not have heard of. I was the only one in human resources at TI that had this one, individualization. And that's people that are intrigued by the unique qualities of each person. So again, that serves you well if you're in HR. In the strategic thinking category, I'm a learner, which means I have a great desire to learn and continuously improve, and always have.
Melissa,
even going back to General Motors days.
I have.
What was your number 1?
Relator. Is that crazy or what? Because here we're talking about relationships.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
It's very important, isn't it, Melissa?
Relator is the key one. I would say while I don't love huge crowds, I do love small circles. So I think one of my strengths is coming in and partnering and having those one-on-ones with senior leadership and holding more succinct group meetings and discussions.
Yeah, you're spot on, because that's
right.
I enjoy that very much as well.
Yes.
And had really good relationships with all the executives at my last companies. And
Yes.
so, and they like the attention too. They like for you to just close the door, come in, and let's just talk.
I agree.
You know, Larry, the positions that you've been in, it sounds like you absolutely had a seat at the table. And it sounds like you built relationships with those very people that are responsible for the other departments, and you weren't the police.
Oh, no, I was not the police.
Well, and I think, Larry, to your benefit and compliment is, when you're a leader who can come and collaborate and make that a priority to early on when you're walking to an organization, build relationships, that will be key, right? As we've all seen it, in the ability to make and affect change. You can't come in and affect change without having a relationship.
Boy, you can't do that if you get targeted as a specific title. You know, if you're the popo and you come in there and you're watching everybody and you're restricting things and stuff like that, I totally agree with Melissa. I have had to do that back in my positions as the lead talent acquisition director in some of those companies. Hi, Verizon. Back in the day, and IBM, I've got to say, IBM gave me an opportunity to run rampant through their ranks as well.
I had a senior leader once give me this advice and said to me, Melissa, if you have the buy-in from leadership, this is early in my career and it just stuck in my head. If you have the buy-in with senior leaders and partnerships in the business, if you make a mistake, they will be forgiving. If you don't have the relationship and partnership, they will find mistakes in the work that you're doing.
It's so true. That is so
and
true.
It's so, that's just totally stuck in my head. And it's so true and relevant.
That's peopleism. I tell folks, and you guys, Melissa, you and Larry are charge of the people departments anyway. And I tell folks that I love working for companies, but the only problem with working for companies and corporations is that people work there.
Yes.
So it starts at the top and it rolls downhill, and we have a huge umbrella of things that we're involved in HR. And Larry, I really, really appreciate you sharing some of the things that you have done. Is there something else that you would like the companies to know as we're talking to Larry?
Probably the most important thing is what am I looking for? So I'm looking for a vice president or director level position. It'll depend on the size of the company, but the 4 criteria I'm looking for, it's probably going to be a new organization, or it's going to be an organization that has new executive leadership and they want to go in a new direction, because that's where, people that have my background and skills and interest, that's what gets us jazzed, as we used to say. And so that'd be number 1. Number 2, places a priority on integrity and ethics. That's important to me personally. Number 3, it's a very good place to work today, and the company even has aspirations to get better. And number 4, it's an organization where I can make a big strategic impact, because that's what I've done before, and I'm good at it, I think, and I want to keep doing that.
Larry, I cringe when I ask this question most of the time, especially for folks that are seasoned, like all of us, me, you, and Melissa. Melissa looks young, but she's seasoned. And do you need to stay local? Are you open to reload, Larry?
No, I'd be open to reload to Austin and Houston.
There it is.
2 locations, because I lived in Houston for quite a while.
And I was thinking as you were talking, and me and my relationship with you, I can totally see Houston, and we have our bigger network in Houston than we do here right here in Dallas. And you know what kind of companies are in Houston.
I do.
You have worked in those companies.
Yes.
So you Houstonians, are y'all listening down there? I know I saw Melissa with it, not Melissa. I saw another Melissa that's with us is down in Houston, but we've got a number of people that are part of BJM, guys. Between Jobs Ministries. If you are in Houston, guys, go to nwbc.org. That's Northwest Bible Church. There is a ministry, a huge ministry. The biggest group I've ever seen pre-COVID was the Between Jobs Ministry. On that website, you will see information for Dr. Farmer and his bunch at Between Jobs Ministry. And we've got Christina Matthews with us as well, and she is chiming in there. I love Christina, and I were fast friends, and we're going to be friends for a long time. Christina is not in HR, but she matters.
Yes.
So, guys, check that out. Our Atlanta bunch, guys, that you guys are listening, I would love for you guys to look up on Google RUMC. That is the Roswell United Methodist Church. Pilots a huge ministry all throughout the Atlanta metroplex. Atlanta is like us, you know, they've got, oh my God, they got Roswell, they got Alpharetta, they got all that stuff down there. Larry, have you spent time just talking about that? Have you spent time in the Atlanta area?
I used to spend, when I worked for Abbott Laboratories, we had a regional office there. So I spent quite a few days and weeks in Atlanta area. Very nice place. And then even at General Motors, we had a facility there in General Motors. And so, but not worked for a company with a headquarters there.
They have the best aquarium I've ever been to.
I've heard.
Say that again, Dana. What'd you say?
They have the best aquarium in Atlanta that I've ever been to.
Now, Larry, you mentioned Detroit. Were you with GM when you were in Detroit? When you were Detroit specific?
Yes, that's correct. I work at the corporate office on Grand Boulevard, the original General Motors building. So,
wow,
it was quite an experience.
Well, I bet it was, especially back then. So,
right.
General Motors. Wow. Mm-hmm. So, guys, I wanted to bring Larry aboard, guys. In my operations of what I do, I have what I like to think it's probably a 50,000 foot view of job search all across the United States. I am here I come, Dana, relationship expert. There it is. And I like to build relationships all over the place because I like to help people.
It's important.
If you see a opportunity, you might want to reach out to myself or Dana. Dana's been in this network as a subject matter expert for quite some time. And you want to reach out to us because we've got connections and companies all over the place. But here's the deal. We've got, what's my word, Dana?
Relationship.
I'm getting close again. Every time I get close, you know I'm going to come up with that.
Relationship.
That, or maybe I might mention the barbecue. I don't know. But
I mean, that's a good subject too.
Yes. But guys, that is what this network is. If you're in North Carolina, if you're in New York, if you are in Chicago, if you are in Atlanta, Phoenix, Dallas, I mean, these, I'm mentioning these, it goes, we've even got a group of folks in Idaho. Meridian, Idaho.
Yeah. That's great.
So guys, you know what? We are a proponent of networking. We're a proponent of introducing you guys to people like Melissa and especially Larry, because Larry's looking for a job. You know what? You companies, you guys really need to consider
be very blessed
talking
to have
with Larry. Absolutely. Because he is available right now. And you folks in Houston, you heard him say, hey, I've worked in Houston. I'm Houston specific. I am Houston all over the place. And, you know, the Astros are not a bad team. So, so Larry, what's the best way we can get in contact with you, Larry?
Probably the best way is on my LinkedIn link.
Okay.
And I think it was broadcast there a while ago.
Perfect.
And let me see if I get this right. It's Larry Sherrell with 2 R's and 2 L's, right?
And an E.
Oh.
And 2 E's.
And 2 E's. So spell it for us, Larry.
SHERRELL.
There you go. That's it. And I think you guys can handle Larry because my middle name is Lawrence and a lot of people back home call me Larry.
Oh, they do?
I never told you that, Larry.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know
brothers.
that either.
We are brothers. We absolutely are. And I know, and Melissa and I have been brother and sister for years.
For years.
So
yes.
I loved having this HR focus. And I'm hearing the music. We're done. We'll see you guys next Friday. And thank you, Larry. And thank you, Missy.
Thank you, Larry.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Great
Have a good weekend. Good Memorial Day weekend.
Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Be blessed.
From the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have